what up, guys? It's Nick. Oh my god. It's been such a long time, guys. I am so sorry I've not done a video in forever. So, to kick off this new, rebooted version of my YouTube, I guess, I am doing a new series called Superhero Origins. And to start off, I just want to explain this one thing. These are my superheroes that I've created, original ideas. Some will be based off DC or Marvel creations. And for the first superhero, it will be my one and only Stealther. Stealther was created, I believe, 3 years ago when I had the idea of a guy that can turn invisible in a high-tech suit. Now, you may be looking at it and be like, Nick, oh my god, it looks like Deadpool, like the mask and everything. It is not at all related to Deadpool. His mask may be similar though. I will also like to point out he is not at all just high-tech stuff, so try not to hate on it. Stealther's powers include high-tech weaponry, invisibility, hence his name Stealther, and a little super strength. The origin starts with high school student Jacob Gordon. He was a successful student. He was an all-A student, to be precise, especially in chemistry, robotics, and so on and so on. His intellect came with a hefty price. He eventually came up with the idea of an invisible potion, as you will see on the screen, and it didn't quite go so well. It resulted in an explosion. Yeah. From that point, he was paralyzed waist down because of the explosion. After that, he was considered insane for a few months. The cause of this was because he didn't have the probability of walking again. So he always is in a negative attitude. Eventually, he got the idea of creating robotic feet. And you might be thinking, Nick, oh my god, do you know that's so obvious? People have done that a lot. Well, in reality, not a lot of people have done it. I've seen it once in a TV show, that was a long time ago, but in all honesty, these boots, which you will see on the screen now, are called Bosses. Boots of Standing. So yeah, funny title. Then, 3 months later, after he invented his Bosses, he eventually discovered he could turn invisible. He eventually freaked, and he kind of panicked a lot. He didn't know how to control his powers, so he feared that he would become invisible at random times of day. Eventually, he was able to design a suit that was which you'll see on your screen, which was actually his costume, that could kind of restrain his powers, and henceforth make him control them a bit better. Eventually, he became in control of his powers, and took the name on as Stealther for crime fighting. Now, as I said before, Stealther's powers include a high-tech weapon capability, which he adds on after he takes up crime fighting. He can turn invisible, the entire suit, everything on it can turn invisible, and he has a slight amount of superhuman strength. Not much, but nonetheless, it's strength. Now you're probably asking, Nick, oh my gosh, do you not realize you haven't shown us anything about him? Well, you kind of did, but not enough. You haven't shown us his fighting style, anything like that. Well, the thing is, he's only been in 3 comic appearances, and I'll mention those now. Now, Stealther's first comic debut appearance was in Avengers comic number 1, which was Avengers vs. Electron. The story of it, since no one's really gonna read it, is Golden Spider, which is a superhero I'll be doing another superhero origins video on, and I'll be rebooting his original form as well. Now, this is the story. Golden Spider is tracking down the supervillain Electron. He eventually gets zapped by Electron, hence electricity, so zap. And Golden Spider eventually almost falls down a city skyscraper until a Avenger called Watergear saves him. Now, the Golden Spider eventually meets up with the rest of the Avengers, where you get to see Stealther first. Now, Stealther's first appearance was him flying down. Yes, he can fly. I forgot to mention that. But like I said, like technical weapons. So I'm pretty sure flying goes in the category. But it's like rocket boots. He upgrades his bosses to be able to fly, stuff like that. Anyway, so as you see, he flies down and he literally says, "Who are you?" and talks to Watergear. Golden Spire considers this rude, hence, like, you know, he wants to help. And he actually does help, because Electron eventually ambushes the rest of the Revenger. In the end, one of the Revenger's members, the Living Lightning Bolt, captures Electron in a canister, and it was kind of a failsafe he made when Electron got out. Golden Spire eventually, at the end, actually, joins the Revengers, and they kind of everyone becomes pals, you know, cool. Then Stealther's second comic debut appearance was in Revengers comic number 2, which was versus Vampire. And this was based a lot more around Stealther defeating the villain. It was just a guy who had a freak accident who was trying to create an anti-gravity serum, you could say. But the DNA based it off of, which was a bat, the bat knocked it out of the scientist's hand and landed on it. It then transformed him into what we would consider a vampire, but in all honesty, it was just a man bat. Kind of based off of DC, but I called it a vampire. So eventually, Revengers got word of this and decided to go take it down. Problem with that idea, it can go a lot. That can go long. The Stealther first gets ambushed by Vampire, and of course Stealther fights back, and he uses machine guns which pop out of his hands. Yes, machine guns can pop out of his hand. Fear it. But the problem with that idea is it kind of goes on to a little darker history. And I kind of didn't really go that dark before that. Stealther, of course, eventually caught the vampire in a net. Yes, a net. He doesn't pop out now. That's cool. And that's why he saved the day. For Stealther's third debut appearance, which is kind of his final appearance, but I am creating a new comic called Revengers Origins, Stealther, Leader of the Revengers. I've just started on it, and it's going to show a lot more detail. I'll try to take pictures of it when I'm done with it, and then I can post it. Anyways, so his third comic debut appearance was in Revengers comic number 3. The story is based off the story's again kind of around Stealther defeating the bad guy, but it's also around the idea of radioactivity. The story starts out with a scientist who is clicking on a computer and activating a meltdown in a nuclear lab. Eventually the nuclear lab explodes, but instead of creating a devastation area, instead imploded on the scientist. The scientist actually created a suit, which he called a flamer, and it absorbs nuclear reactivity. To test it, no scientist else wanted to test it. So to test it, he blew up his own nuclear reactor facility. And he henceforth became the Flaming Skull, because it kind of like burned away his tissue and everything. So eventually the Avengers appeared out of nowhere. Of course, because you know the Avengers, they saved the day. And they got there, and as you can tell, you can see Golden Spire's color and Stealther's color. And as you notice, you can see his like invisibility effect kind of take hold, because you can see like half his legs. But anyway, with the appearance of the Revengers, the Flaming Skull felt threatened and decided to attack. They of course tried to fight back, and so yeah, they tried to fight back. Didn't turn out so well for him because, you know, Stealther punched him in the face. And it was henceforth based that Stealther saved the day, sort of. Now, if any of you like this video, you can check out how to draw Stealther. I found the original copy of me presenting how to draw him. Now, it's kind of rudimentary because it was based off his older model without the gold and his belt. Without the gold, like, triangles on his chest and on his belt. So if any of you artists out there that actually want to try to copy this guy, you can try to copy his old model. It's not the greatest, it's not the worst, but nonetheless, it's a really old model. So if you want to try to draw him, I give you that. There you go. And that wraps up our video today, guys. Hope you enjoyed this first ever video of superhero origins created by moi, McM Productions. And I hope you guys check out the next video, which I think is going to be the coolest. It was my first ever superhero, Nightman, and I'm not going to give away too many details, so I hope you enjoy this. And you also get to see actual comic stuff instead of just computer pictures. So, thanks guys for watching. Adios.